Have you been feeling like something dark is hanging over your life, but you can't quite name it? Maybe your motivation vanishes without reason. People you trust suddenly shift. Plans fall apart in the final hour. And no matter how much effort you put in, it feels like you're swimming against an invisible current pulling you under. These moments are easy to write off as stress, poor timing, or coincidence. But what if they aren't random at all? What if someone is intentionally working against you, using black magic as a hidden weapon? Black magic isn't just the stuff of folklore or horror movies. Across cultures and centuries, it's been used as a tool for control, revenge, and destruction. And the most dangerous part, it often works best when the target doesn't believe in it. Just because you can't see an attack doesn't mean you aren't feeling its effects. Ancient wisdom tells us that dark energy travels through intention, through envy, resentment, or direct ritual, and when left unchecked, it can disrupt everything from your relationships to your health. In today's world, these attacks don't always look like curses or rituals. They show up as emotional chaos, unexplained exhaustion, sudden misfortune, or the eerie sense that someone or something is watching you from the shadows. If you've ever felt like your life was spiraling without cause, this might be the truth you've been avoiding. This video will reveal 5 real and often overlooked signs that someone may be using black magic to harm you. But more importantly, we'll talk about how to detect, block, and reverse these energies without fear, superstition, or panic. Because awareness is your armor, and action is your path to freedom. If you've been sensing that something isn't right, trust that instinct. You're not imagining things. You're recognizing a pattern, and once you can see it clearly, you'll be able to protect what matters most: your peace, your power, and your purpose. Let's dive in. Sign 1: persistent fatigue and energy drain. Have you ever woken up feeling like you've barely slept? Like your body had been wrestling something all night, even though you never left your bed? This isn't just tiredness from overworking or lack of sleep. It's something deeper, heavier, a kind of exhaustion that seeps into your bones and refuses to lift, no matter how much rest you get. Your limbs drag. Your mind feels foggy. Even simple tasks feel like mountains. You try to fix it the way we're taught to: sleep more, eat better, move your body, talk to someone, and yet nothing changes. You consult doctors, run blood tests, even check your mental health. Everything comes back normal. But inside, you know something's off. This isn't burnout. It's a depletion, a quiet hollowing out that feels like something or someone is feeding off your life force. Across spiritual traditions, this type of relentless fatigue is often seen as the earliest and most overlooked sign of energetic or magical interference, what some refer to as black magic. These attacks aren't dramatic at first. They creep in through subtle weariness, slowly siphoning your strength until you're emotionally numb and physically inert. You stop pushing forward, not because you've given up, but because you're too drained to even care. Let's take the story of Mariah, a passionate artist who had just landed a breakthrough gallery deal. Within weeks, she was sleeping 10 hours a night and still couldn't lift a brush. Her thoughts turned foggy. Her confidence disappeared. After exhausting every medical avenue, she was told it might be stress. But deep down, she knew it was something else. A spiritual mentor helped her realize she'd been energetically targeted, likely by someone who envied her rising success. With cleansing rituals and energy restoration practices, her spark began to return. Her art came back. Her fatigue lifted. This kind of energetic sabotage is insidious because it often strikes when your life is starting to improve. That's when jealous eyes turn their focus on you. That's when the invisible attacks begin, not by accident, but with intent. You may not believe in black magic, but its effects don't need your belief to work. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Stoic philosophy offers us a powerful lens here. Epictetus taught that we must pay attention not just to what happens to us, but how we interpret those events. If your mind and body are under siege, and you mislabel that experience as laziness or depression, you might miss the real message. That message: you may be under spiritual assault. Awareness is the turning point. When you stop blaming yourself and start examining your energetic field, your inner clarity sharpens. You stop trying to push through what isn't meant to be fixed with willpower, and you start releasing what doesn't belong to you. Because true strength doesn't mean ignoring the drain. It means recognizing it, addressing it, and rising above it. And the first sign something's wrong is when your energy vanishes without cause. Next, we'll look at how these attacks go beyond fatigue, how they begin poisoning the connections you hold most dear. Sign 2: sudden relationship breakdowns. Have you ever looked across the room at someone who once felt like home? Someone who knew your heart, your rhythms, your soul, and felt like you didn't recognize them anymore? No betrayal, no major conflict, just a strange emotional distance that appeared like fog overnight. As if something had quietly erased the intimacy you once shared and replaced it with silence, confusion, or worse, suspicion. One day, you're in sync, talking, laughing, sharing small moments. The next, your words seem to land wrong. Your jokes fall flat, and even your presence seems to irritate them. You replay conversations in your mind, searching for what went wrong, but nothing adds up. The energy between you feels different, but you can't explain why. It's as if something sacred has been cut, sliced by an invisible blade. Now imagine that shift doesn't just happen with one person. It spreads quietly and rapidly. Friends become distant without warning. Texts go unanswered. Family members who once lit up when you walked in now avoid your eyes or greet you with indifference. The very people who used to affirm your worth now seem to question your motives. When your relationships begin to crumble simultaneously and without clear reason, you may be dealing with more than poor timing or emotional fatigue. You could be facing a coordinated energetic disruption, what many cultures have long recognized as one of the key symptoms of black magic or spiritual manipulation. This form of attack doesn't explode into your life with theatrical curses. It creeps in, slowly reshaping how others see you and how you see them. It distorts perception. A minor disagreement becomes a major rift. A misunderstood comment becomes a betrayal. Before you know it, people turn cold. Trust dissolves. You begin to wonder whether you're imagining it or if you're the cause. Let's talk about Layla. A respected teacher and beloved community figure, she was known for her warmth and generosity. But after a dispute with a former friend over a business partnership, things changed. Her partner grew suspicious. Her sister stopped returning her calls. Her reputation at work became shaky for no clear reason. She tried harder to fix things. More conversations, more explanations. But the harder she tried, the more disconnected she became. Eventually, she reached out to a spiritual healer. The truth emerged: she had been energetically targeted by someone who wanted to isolate her from her support system. Not through violence or confrontation, but through quiet, energetic sabotage. That's the real threat of black magic. It doesn't just disrupt your plans, it severs the emotional ties that stabilize your life. It isolates you so subtly that you begin to internalize the disconnection. You think maybe I've changed, or maybe I deserve this. But you haven't. And you don't. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes a lifeline. Marcus Aurelius taught that we must train our minds to remain steady in the face of shifting circumstances. But when someone is actively manipulating the emotional energy around you, turning allies into strangers and comfort into confusion, even a Stoic heart can be shaken. Which is why awareness matters more than ever. Start asking yourself harder questions. Is this person's reaction really about me, or is it being influenced by something external? Is this change in dynamic a result of miscommunication, or is it being fed by something darker, unseen? When you become more conscious of these shifts, you begin to protect not just your emotions, but your reality. Because clarity is power. And when you begin to reclaim that clarity, when you refuse to be confused into silence or isolation, you weaken the force that seeks to dismantle you. If your relationships are breaking down for no obvious reason, don't rush to blame yourself. Pause. Look deeper. You may be under attack, and the disconnection is only the beginning. The next blow for many hits, where it hurts even more, the security of your material world. And that's what we'll examine in the next sign. Sign 3: financial and career blockages. Now we enter one of the most emotionally draining and psychologically destabilizing signs of unseen attack: the slow, suffocating collapse of your career and financial progress. This isn't a rough patch, a learning curve, or the price of ambition. This is something far more insidious. It's when every step forward somehow turns into a step back, no matter how calculated, committed, or capable you are. You're doing the work. You're showing up early, staying late, networking, learning, pushing forward. And yet, nothing sticks. The dream job interview vanishes into silence. The client who was ready to sign suddenly ghosts you. Promising partnerships dissolve without warning. Payments are mysteriously delayed. Projects stall out for no logical reason. You can feel the breakthrough approaching, but it never arrives. Over and over again. At first, it's easy to blame timing, the economy, or even yourself. Maybe you're not trying hard enough. Maybe you're in the wrong field. Maybe you're just unlucky. But when the setbacks pile up consistently, inexplicably, and especially when you're on the verge of a big step, it's time to consider a more unsettling possibility: that someone is working not in front of you, but behind the scenes, to stop you. In many cultures, what we call black magic isn't theatrical, it's strategic. It's a focused, energetic interference with a clear goal: block your abundance, derail your progress, and disrupt your destiny. These attacks are rarely random. They're often launched when your light begins to shine, when you're about to reach new levels of impact or independence. Because that's when you become a threat. That's when envy festers. And that's when sabotage begins. The most haunting aspect of these attacks is how well-timed they are. It's not just failure, it's failure when success was already in motion. It's not just rejection, it's rejection when everything was finally aligning. You can feel the doors closing right before your hand reaches the knob. Over time, this pattern begins to erode more than your finances. It wears down your sense of purpose. You begin to question your worth. You wonder whether your gifts were ever real. You grow afraid to dream, to try to hope. Because each new effort feels like walking into another invisible wall. Slowly, your vision shrinks. You stop reaching for what you deserve just to avoid another emotional collapse. This is where the attack becomes internal. It's no longer just blocking your income. It's dimming your belief in possibility itself. And here, the ancient Stoics offer more than reflection, they offer resistance. Seneca taught that difficulty strengthens the soul, not by making life easier, but by training the mind to remain steady. A Stoic doesn't deny the external storm. He studies it, learns its rhythm, and most importantly, refuses to let it define his sense of self. So, if you find yourself stuck in a loop where your efforts seem cursed, your progress sabotaged, and your wins reversed, consider that you might not be the problem. You might be the target. A target of envy. A target of spiritual interference designed to confuse, discourage, and contain you. But knowledge changes everything. Once you see the pattern, you reclaim the power to break it. You stop over-identifying with the failure. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop giving your energy to a fight that was never yours to carry. And in the next sign, we'll explore where this interference often lands next, deep inside your mind, where it begins to distort your thoughts, cloud your clarity, and make you question the very nature of reality itself. Sign 4: nightmares and disturbing mental intrusions. Close your eyes, not to sleep, but to search. Look within. Lately, have your nights felt different? Have your dreams taken a darker turn, filled not with daily stress or fleeting worries, but with something deeper, more persistent, and harder to shake? You might find yourself waking in a cold sweat from dreams that feel more like warnings than subconscious noise. You're lost in places you've never seen, yet they feel strangely familiar. You're being hunted, trapped, or watched by faces that seem both known and distorted. Doors refuse to open. Voices whisper in unfamiliar tones. And long after you wake up, the sensation lingers like a residue on your skin or a shadow following you through the day. But it doesn't stop there. During your waking hours, something else begins to happen. Thoughts arrive that feel foreign. You're going about your day when suddenly an intrusive image flashes through your mind, disturbing, violent, or deeply unsettling. Or a mood crashes in heavy, irrational, and completely disconnected from your environment. These aren't fleeting distractions. They feel like mental trespass, like something or someone has slipped inside. This is more than mental fatigue. It's more than stress. This is a spiritual invasion of your inner world, a direct intrusion into your mind and dreamscape. It's the fourth and perhaps most dangerous sign that you may be under targeted energetic attack. Unlike physical or financial blockages, this one seeks control from the inside out. It doesn't just interfere with your life. It warps your perception of reality itself. In ancient and modern spiritual teachings alike, this level of interference is taken extremely seriously. When someone with malicious intent wishes to break you, they often begin with what seems intangible: your thoughts, your emotions, your dreams. And the delivery method: thought forms, energetic entities programmed to influence your behavior, shake your confidence, and cloud your judgment. These thought forms don't need your belief to work. They just need access. And your sleep, when your conscious defenses are relaxed, is the easiest doorway in. They appear as symbols, surreal events, and familiar figures twisted into something eerie or cruel. Dreams that once served as a space of subconscious processing now become battlegrounds of confusion, fear, and spiritual exhaustion. And the consequences spill into daylight. You start doubting yourself. You hesitate when you used to act. You speak less, question more, and feel like you're slowly losing your grip, not on the world around you, but on your own mind. That's the real danger. Not just what these intrusions bring, but what they take away: your mental clarity, your emotional balance, and your intuitive trust in your own inner voice. And here, the teachings of Stoicism provide a crucial defense. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the things you think about determine the quality of your mind. But what if those thoughts were planted? What if your mind is being influenced not by random chance, but by design? This is the test. This is where the Stoic mindset becomes more than theory. It becomes a shield. A Stoic doesn't surrender to every thought. He examines them. He separates what is real from what is reaction. He guards his mental sovereignty with discipline, not out of fear, but out of responsibility for his soul. So if your dreams have turned threatening, if your thoughts feel hijacked, and your mind no longer feels like a safe space, you may be experiencing an advanced form of energetic attack. It's not paranoia. It's pattern recognition. The mind is your last stronghold. And it's often the final battlefield. Because once your inner world is compromised, reality itself can begin to twist. Up feels like down. Truth feels like illusion. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. The fifth and final sign when the distortion moves from within and begins to reshape how you experience the world around you. Sign 5: synchronistic warnings and energetic disturbances. The fifth and final sign may be the easiest to dismiss until the strange coincidences grow louder, more personal, and impossible to ignore. Unlike the more direct forms of interference we've explored, this one arrives through your surroundings, through signals, patterns, shifts that don't speak in words but still feel like warnings. You may not know what's wrong, but your environment begins to reflect that something is. It often starts quietly. You glance at the clock and keep seeing the same numbers. You notice a symbol that follows you on receipts, signs, social media. At first it seems like a quirk of attention. But over time, the pattern tightens. The repetition grows insistent. And then, the energy of familiar places begins to change. Your favorite room suddenly feels cold heavy, or somehow foreign. The air seems denser. The silence carries a hum you didn't hear before. What's truly unsettling is how these changes seem to echo your inner state. You feel observed, even in solitude. The mood of a place turns dark for no reason. Pets act strangely, avoiding certain rooms or staring at nothing for minutes on end. Birds appear outside your window again and again. You begin to wonder if you're imagining things until you realize the discomfort doesn't go away. In fact, it grows stronger each time you ignore it. These experiences aren't about ghosts or folklore. They are real energetic disturbances. Your environment is mirroring a deeper conflict, one that originates in the invisible forces trying to destabilize you. And it's your body, your instincts, and your awareness that pick it up first. Long before your mind makes sense of what's happening, your nervous system already knows something is off. It reacts through tension, anxiety, and sudden shifts in attention because it's receiving signals your intellect hasn't caught up with yet. Even those who don't identify as spiritual feel it. In fact, the most rational minds often feel the most rattled because these signs refuse to follow logic. They can't be fixed with reason. They don't obey rules. They disrupt reality just enough to make you question your grip on it. I remember the case of Marlon, a science teacher with a strong analytical mind. He moved into a rental home after a tough divorce, hoping for a reset. But the signs came fast. Light bulbs bursting, shadows moving along walls, his cat hissing at empty corners. Then came the dreams. Then the mood swings. One day, after waking to find all the frames in his hallway tilted at the exact same angle, he began to listen. A local elder later confirmed the house had been cursed during a land dispute decades earlier. The remnants of that conflict had never been cleared. The energy remained. And it had recognized Marlon's vulnerability. The Stoics didn't speak of energy fields or curses, but they did speak of pattern of perception, of paying attention to subtle cues in nature and within the self. As Marcus Aurelius taught, nature is full of signs, we just have to learn how to read them. When you start seeing the same message again and again, it's not paranoia. It's an invitation to become conscious. Conscious of what's entering your space. Conscious of what's trying to distort your experience of reality. This fifth sign is often the last and most urgent red flag synchronistic signals and environmental shifts that suggest your external world is responding to an invisible force. And when this appears alongside the other four signs, chronic fatigue, emotional isolation, blocked progress, and mental disruption, it becomes clear this isn't just bad luck. It's a spiritual siege. But here's the truth. The moment you recognize the pattern, you are no longer powerless. Awareness breaks the illusion. Attention exposes the source. And once exposed, it can be removed. In the next phase, we'll turn from observation to action. You'll learn how to reclaim your energetic space, realign your internal compass, and apply the timeless tools of Stoic philosophy to stand unshaken in the face of invisible interference. Because you weren't meant to live in fear of unseen forces. You were meant to face them with clarity, with courage, and with unshakable inner strength. What you've just discovered goes beyond superstition or belief systems. It's about recognizing the invisible currents of energy that shape your life, whether you acknowledge them or not. Just like gravity, these forces don't need your permission to affect you. But awareness changes everything. The moment you see the pattern, you gain the power to break it. Liberation begins with intentional action. Purify your environment. Use salt, soundlight, or prayer, not as rituals of fear, but as acts of ownership over your space. Take slow, conscious breaths to reset your energy field. Each night, release what doesn't belong to you, whether it's emotional residue, lingering tension, or thoughts that aren't truly yours. These small but powerful habits reconnect you with your inner strength. And above all, elevate your thinking. The Stoics remind us that your mind is your fortress. No darkness can reach a consciousness that remains calm, disciplined, and rooted in truth. When you rise above the chaos, you take back control, not just over your emotions, but over your entire energetic presence. This is the moment to stop living reactively. Protect your stillness. Guard your clarity. Build daily awareness like a shield. And if this message resonated with something deep inside you, I invite you to subscribe, not just to support this channel, but to keep this wisdom alive and evolving in your life. We're not just creating videos, we're forging a movement, one that empowers you to reclaim your power, your energy, and your peace. By taking this step, you've already begun that transformation. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and above all, stay free. I'll see you in the next chapter.